What is up, everyone? Michael Damon back with you with the latest episode of Starbeam.one, Stand Up and Shine and Shill. Series I put together to keep you up to date with my project, Starbeam.one. Been at it since October of 2019, and it's modeled after the agile methodology of stand-up, of letting your teammates know what you've been working on, what you're going to be working on, and any sort of friction points that you may be encountering. And as I've added here, so much more. Let's begin. All right, program notes is sort of at the top of the show, sort of getting everyone oriented to what's going on with the project, any sort of big news, anything. Not really big news, just happy holidays. Happy holidays to everyone out there. It's kind of a special time of year, and I was going to get a Santa hat. I couldn't find one though, so maybe next year. But happy holidays to everyone out there. And, I just cannot believe it. Christmas is this weekend, dude. So, wow. And then we've got NFL games on Saturday, which is kind of different. But happy holidays to everyone out there. Still in Alpha 1 and developing features for Alpha 2 is how we're doing that. And really the big thing right now is we've got the standard content, which is what we have now, standard streams, the 25 cents per day, which equals to $5 per month sort of thing. And we're adding this featured streams or featured content or featured licenses. I'm getting the terminology down here, but that's kind of what I'm kind of separating that out into these two categories. You got standard, which is, daily, everyday sort of thing, and that's the 25 cents or 0.25 flare. And we've got the featured licenses, which are a little bit more. So we're adding this new featured licenses where it acts a little bit more like the NFT. So you're given 10 flare of capacity to basically issue as many licenses as you like to divvy up that 10 flares of capacity, and then you get to sell it at whatever price or quantity that you prefer. So you can have two products, and each product could have one license for 5 flare each, and that's how you could sell it. And so these work a little bit differently from the daily or standard in that once you issue these, they have to sit there. You can't get the capacity back until you sell it or you recall it. And if you recall it, there is a cost for that. You get 10% of the used capacity deducted from your account, from your capacity account. The same thing happens with our standard. The standard works just that way as well. But in this case, you can't issue any more. Once you run out of capacity, you can't issue more. Standard is different because that's a daily thing, right? So if you get stuck, is what we call it, and you run out of capacity, well, you always get another one every 24 hours. So there's a little bit of difference there, but there's just enough to where there's a price differential where you get 10 flares, and if you sell that, you get 10 flares sort of thing, right? So it's a little bit more of an instant gratification, for lack of a better word, sort of thing, and it operates a little bit more like NFTs, and there are a lot of artists that I've talked with that want this. So, and also collectors that want it as well, in addition to the artists that want the standard. So there's two different markets here, and we're hoping to combine them into this one product. So that's kind of where we're at, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Next slide here. Tricked ya. I was thinking we're going to go to the what did I do screen, but we're going to go to the dashboard first. We're going to go over to the statistics and the dashboard. You don't even have to be logged in. Just go up here to the top right of the application of starbeam.one and just click on that, and that'll bring out the menu and click on dashboard. You don't have to be signed in. It's just publicly available for people to check out. You get a sense of what's been happening on the site. And so first thing I always look at is visitors. Right now we're averaging anywhere from 75 to 100, even a little bit more than that. We were actually a little bit higher. We were actually doing 100 per day at one point, and you can see we're kind of averaging that out still, so we're getting some good traffic there, and I think 100 per day is what we're shooting for. Right now we're a little bit lower. We'll get into that a little bit more. And so our user accounts, you can see that we have almost 70 accounts now, and you can see the breakdown of the identifier or the providers there, and most of them are Twitter. So we've got Twitter and we've got Google, and those are pretty much where we're getting most of our identity providers using the OAuth 2 for our identities. And so it's getting down, we have actually a little bit of licenses that we've issued today. I would say anywhere about 10, but it looks like about 20, between 10 and 20 licenses or products that are issued per day. And how this works is that you're given one license to work with to start with, and then you have to prove that you can sell that one license. This is for our standard stream, right? For our standard content or for our standard licenses. And so you get that one license, and then you have to prove that you sell that one license, that you can sell that one license, and then you get 2 licenses. And so the process continues from there. So if you can prove that you can sell 2 licenses, then you get 3, and so on and so forth. And so that's how that works. And right now we're averaging anywhere. It looks like about a little bit more than 10 per day right now. So that's, can't complain about that. And sales kind of reflect that as well. Right now we're anywhere from $2 to $3 per day, and that's working out pretty well here. And it looks like, average for the past week is two flares. And a flare is $1 here. And so we can go through the network gratuities. And so just scrolling down here, and our balance and transaction is 0. I always have a little note there to make sure that that's 0, and I never check that before a live recording, so it's always a moment of anxiety for me. And so one last thing here is that we'll go to the front page and we'll see how many artists we have. We just got a brand new artist. I am Space Dave, is that what it is? And so we've got a brand new artist here, and that is I can't see it here with my chat here, but welcome Space Dave, I believe it is. And so now we have 22 artists, and we have 28 collectors, and we just we're growing up to almost 700 sales, and we're getting up to $200 of all-time sales. It's just really great. So I always enjoy this screen. Let's move on to the next one here. All right, now we can talk about what I did. So what did I do? I worked on .NET 7 or upgrading the solution to .NET 7. That's something that was released back in November, and I just started going through the references of the project, and they seemed a little old, and then I saw a lot of them were 7, and I'm like, well, it's one of those things, it's probably better to address it now, and it turns out it's better that I did address it now, because there is a problem that we found with EF Core, with an entity framework. And so, so I just went through and upgraded to .NET 7, and that's all working fine now. And the IDE seems a little bit better. It's just always been just a constant challenge with the IDE, with Visual Studio and ReSharper, and getting everything working really well. There's just always been churn with Razor development, and it seems a little bit better. It's up to date, and everything should be as fast as possible. Now, the other thing is just standard versus feature, getting the analysis down, and also just the stress that goes along with that. I'm going to talk about that here in the effectiveness level, but that's basically what I did, right? Just getting .NET 7. I was just thinking, hoping that was going to take a couple of days, but that ended up taking all week last week, and and it's still continuing because there's still a problem. Still a problem with Entity Framework Core 7, and just doesn't upgrade, it doesn't work, and so I've got an issue that's out there. I'll put that in the description. I'll link to that in the description for the YouTube video. And, just kind of rounding out this point with a standard versus feature. This is kind of a big deal. And I'll also post this link in the description here for the YouTube video. But I posted this really long thread on Twitter this morning, just talking about how stressed out I am over this, because, I started looking into the modeling domain, and I got the sense that what I wanted to do with it, because I was going to do a rewrite, and it's just like, okay, now we've got our standard streams, which didn't exist up until a couple months ago, right? So I had a whole different way of doing publishing and everything that was, designed in a certain way, and none of that worked. And so we went to this new standard stream, which is the daily stream, and you have to prove that you can sell licenses, and this is working, right? And people like this, and it's also the price point, right? Because at the end of the day, it's 25 cents, but it adds up to $5 a month. But at the end of the day, it's 25 cents, and if you've got $1, you can like 3 or 4 artists, right, with that money. So you just go in and you're just like, hey, I like your work, and it's just such a positive experience to be able to do that, right? Whereas with NFTs, you're spending a lot of money, and you're really just impacting one person, and we're wanting to introduce that, right? We're wanting to introduce that as well, and I'm hoping that both of these models can play off of each other, right? And so that's what I'm really hoping for here, is that you have one model where it's subscription based, right? It's $5 a month, and it's 25 cents a day, and it's a little bit cheaper, and artists like it, and collectors like it as well. And so I'm both, right? I appreciate both sides of it, but you also have this featured, and it's more value behind that, so it works a little bit more like NFTs, and it's featured, right? It's a featured a featured asset, or a featured license, or a featured product that you'd like to present, and so it can correspond with your standard content as well. So there's these two different models, and I'm hoping that they play off of one another. I'm hoping that we get traffic from one, and they see that, and then they also see this other stream that goes along with it, right? And you've got people that are spending maybe $5 or $10 on the featured, but then they see that they can also spend 25 cents, right? So it's two really complementary models, I'm hoping. But anyways, getting back to the stress here, it's, in order to do what I want to do is I want to do a rewrite. I want to get everything together now that we have these two different models and a better idea of what we want to build and how we're going to make money. What's most importantly, right? I want to do a rewrite to get all this together. And so to do that, it's going to take like 10 to 12 weeks. I'm thinking, right? I've got a gut feeling. I might be able to get it sooner than that, but I'm thinking like 10 to 12 weeks, but that's such a long time, right? And right now our sales are like $2 a day. And, I just feel like if I just started doing that, it's just going to decline. It's just going to just drop, right? It's going to drop down to nothing. And so I, was really kind of just stressed out about that. So I have this long Twitter thread about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a stopgap. I'm going to have something that's this is just going to get the job done, right? It's going to be really quick and it's going to do basically the same what we want it to do. And it's just going to do enough to work. And then I'll get to the rewrite, after that. So we'll have the stopgap and we'll have the two models. And I just want to see how they play together, right? I want to see how they do. And I'll have that. And then I can do the rewrite alongside that, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting to. It's sort of like, it's really stressful to get all this together and to figure that out. And so here we are. I posted that thread on Twitter and it got 0 likes. There were 0 likes and I actually lost a follower. Hello, Twitter. Yeah. Have we met? And so, that really, it kind of stings, but also after I posted that, we got a ton of sales right now. So we got a lot of activity in our Discord right now, and there's got a lot of sales. So, not everything's a loss there sort of thing. And, it's kind of a roller coaster here. Anyways, just getting back to what I'm doing now. Now we're getting to the featured licenses, right? And so I want to put this thing into place into where it's just kind of a stopgap, like I mentioned, just to have featured licenses so we can have this NFT. Cause I feel like there's like a dozen artists that have really, they all looked at me and were like, this 25 cents. Yeah, I get it, but I don't think it's for me. I'm more of, everyone's thinking a certain way right now, and for better or for worse, I'm late to the party here, even though I feel I have a cool idea with this subscription base with the standard, the 25 cents. I think over time it'll prove itself, but right now everyone's just like, we don't understand it. We don't get it. And so what I want to do is put these two together and see how they do. So this is a kind of having the stopgap into place is a real priority. And then, just getting back to to publishing streams. I have the old terminology there, the daily versus premium, which is what was calling them. And that now they are standard versus featured. So the publishing streams will be next if I get to that. But I can tell you right now, it's just going to be all this stopgap. And I'm hoping I can get this done next week. We'll see, sort of thing. All right, next slide here. Friction points, man, I just want to knock on wood here every time I see this slide because we are doing really good. There's only one issue right now and it might be fixed. And I just want to have a shout out to Ryan out there who's done an excellent job with this ticket. He's also with Microsoft Q&A. He's done a great job over there as well. And the Microsoft Learn portal there. And he's just a real professional. And he's very, very patient with me because I can get really testy, especially with this issue that's been going on for 2 or 3 months. Well, it turns out it might have been due to a new Get package. And so Azure Identity, we were just figuring out, ever since I upgraded to .NET 7, we haven't seen it, so that might actually go away. But I just kind of wanted to send a shout out to Ryan there. You've just done an outstanding job, and thank you for putting up with me. All right, next slide. Effectiveness levels. All right, shout out to Jay, who is providing great feedback as always. And he's just like, he didn't really say it, but I kind of saw it too. It's just like, man, every time that you show this slide, it's always a low number. You need to have other parts to it to kind of, even it out because it's not all low, right? And I keep saying this, I hear the words that I say like, yeah, that's right, because I'm saying it, but it's not being expressed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I've kind of divided this out into 3 different levels here, and we'll just go through and talk about them. And hopefully, I was hoping to have this done by this morning, but ideally we want to have this all in one. But we'll see. We'll see how this treats us. Maybe we'll do this going forward. Marketing. I also put support into this as well. I'm okay with this. I'm feeling okay. And effectiveness, by the way, is kind of, we'll get into the emotional quality of it as well. It's like efficiency of things how am I feeling about the project? And we're going to break this down into these different aspects or different areas here. And so marketing, I kind of go into support as well. And it's, I'm not an expert at it yet, but I'm getting better. And I put my feeling here between 0 and 10, where 10 is the greatest. I'm going to put myself right above the middle there. So 5. Okay, now we move on to technology, and technology. It's all about how much code I'm doing, and I feel okay. It's a little bit better, but I just want to be able to just really get into it, right? And just all I did last week was .NET 7 and upgrading to .NET 7, and it was nice, but it wasn't exciting, right? I wasn't feeling like I was getting anything done, and I wasn't. I was upgrading to .NET 7, so a little bit low there. Okay, and so effectiveness level with morale and emotions, right? This is kind of what it is. I kind of want to end on this as well, right? So it's not as bad as the others, right? So getting back to the stress right now, the stress is kind of like, okay, I've got this big story I want to rewrite, sort of thing, and now how do I get there without sabotaging the product, right? Because I don't want to be sitting there just coding all day and sales are going down and I'm not doing any more marketing or any sort of promotions or anything like that. So how do I deal with that? And I think I got it figured out. We'll go with that. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that, and it's not as bad as the others. All right, well, that's it. That's the end of the episode here, and I should have put happy holidays there. I wish I had my Santa hat maybe next year, but happy holidays to everyone out there, and thank you for all your support. We're still getting support, still getting a lot of interest here, and we're getting more artists and getting those, got to work on getting those collectors as well, but just one step at a time, right? This is all organic. We haven't spent any money on any advertising or marketing or anything of that nature. It's all word of mouth right now, and hopefully it'll be that way for just the next month or so. And then once we have these, standard and featured streams together, along with the subscriptions, then we can start promoting, right? We can start actually spending money and do this thing in earnest, right? We're getting close. It's, February was when I announced this preview last year, and it was nothing, right? It was exactly a preview. There was no money being exchanged. It was just like, I need to get out there and have people see this, and that's what that was. And so that's February. So kind of shooting for that as a time frame. And so with that, I'll leave it there. Happy holidays to you, and thank you for all your support. And until next time, stay safe and stay bright out there. Goodbye.